Hello, this is a tutorial on how you can create visuals for your music inside Ableton Live. I'm using a suite of Max for Live devices called ZwoBot, and if you're new to ZwoBot, I'd recommend you go back and watch my earlier tutorials, and I'll put a link to those in the top right corner of the screen now. And if you'd like to buy ZwoBot, there's a link in the description. You get around 70 to 80 different Max for Live devices, which are made up of all of these different visual effects, visual generators, and it also comes with some videos and images that you can use too. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the Pattern device, which generates patterns and colors that will be synced and respond to your audio. So this is a little demo of what it looks like. So I'm just going to reset all of this stuff. So I've reset everything to the default settings here, and you'll notice nothing is moving here, and that's because in order for the pattern to change, we need some of these settings to be changing, and at the moment they're all static, so nothing is happening. You can either change these settings manually, so for example, if I move the shift dial, you'll see something starts happening. Same with the modulation and the size dials. We've also got a color dial, which will change the colors. But what you can also do is have them respond to this internal BPM sync dial. So this works independently from the master beat control on your ZwoBot player. So whatever this is set to is going to override the master beat control. So you can make it faster or slower using this, and this controls when the pattern changes. There is also a manual control down here, so if you don't want it to be synced to the BPM, you can tap this and that will trigger a change. And there are also sound reactive controls here, so the pattern can be triggered from either the lower frequencies or the higher frequencies of the audio. We've got these three dials here, shift, modulation and size, and these basically are going to change the shape, size and position of your pattern. So you can see shift moves it around, and modulation changes these white parts of the pattern. So at the moment I've got the color on 0, so it's black and white. If I change this, it changes the color of the background, but you always have these white lines here, and the modulation will change the thickness and position of those white lines. And size also changes them. So basically these three controls, you can resize, move and alter the white parts of the pattern. So if I move over to the color, like I said, that changes the color of the background. Here we've got different pattern modes from A to H. These all change the type of pattern that you're going to get. And I can play about with the shift, modulation and size to fine-tune the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to put that BPM control on now to get some movement, because at the moment it's static, but if I put this on, we'll start getting some movement. Multi adds some more detail to the movement, so if I turn that on now, you'll notice you get this happening when it moves. Let's see if I turn it off, it doesn't do that. So for example here, if I turn it off, we've just got this single layer. I think it basically duplicates the main pattern and makes smaller versions of it, maybe. that's what multi does, and then multi-layer layers up the pattern even more, so you can get a more detailed pattern. And then random position will change the position of the shape randomly. So you can see now this shape is changing where it is. Whereas if I turn random position off, it's just going to stay in the same place. So that just adds more random movement to the shape. And if you have all three of these on, you're going to get a much more detailed pattern overall. All of these have audio reactive controls, so I can turn this low. Let's have this respond to the highs, and this can respond to the highs. If I just unmute this audio, let's turn some of these off, and I'll have a beat sync on the pattern modes control. So again, this beat sync isn't responding to the master beat control, it's responding to the pattern's internal BPM control. And I'm going to have the color also change in accordance with that. And if you don't want these to respond to the audio, you can have them respond to the BPM like this. Now we've also got our usual transparency and blend modes down here, so this controls the overall transparency of the effect. So you can see when I turn it right up, we're just seeing this image which I've got underneath it, and I've got this invert effect in, which is why it looks like that instead of like that. So that's the overall transparency, and then we've got blend modes which will blend the effect with the image or video that's underneath it. And then you've got this texture button, which will apply the effect as a texture map on top of whatever your image or video is. I'm going to put this multiply blend mode effect on, and then to get the effect I had at the start of this video, I've got an LFO which I've mapped to the Kaleidoscope effect on the ZwoBot player, and I've set the jitter to 100% on that. And that is everything with the pattern device. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I've got loads more ZwoBot videos, so if you want to learn about different devices and how ZwoBot works generally, there's a link to the playlist of all those tutorials. And if you want to buy ZwoBot, click the link in the description. I'll be back with another tutorial soon.